of the companies, and once interest rates rose again, the time has come for corporate deleveraging. And therefore, firms, in fact, have started this process, and that is perhaps one of the big reasons why credit demand from the private sector has actually declined in the recent months. The third area I'd like to suggest, an area which has already been highlighted by Waqar, is the issue of managing costs better. During the boom years, particularly in the banking sector, when the profitability of the banking sector went up 10 times between 1999 and 2007, there was a runaway explosion in executive remuneration. And corporate bonuses were the order of the day, particularly in the banking sector. I'm afraid those days have gone for some time at least. And even in the United States, there is punitive taxation of bonuses currently. Let me turn to one interesting opportunity, which is in the area of innovative marketing strategies. Already, Waqar has highlighted that consumer demand is going to be slack globally and almost certainly in Pakistan. And in our case, we are going to have probably stagnant real incomes of consumers for some time. And even physical presence in large markets has become a security hazard. And one of the reasons why markets currently before Eid are not so active. But there is an opportunity, and that is that as a result of the fundamental shift in our growth strategy and the buoyancy and resilience of Pakistan's agriculture, I'm inclined to think that the strategy of marketing has to shift much more towards development of rural markets in Pakistan. A very important statistic which we forget is that as a result of the phenomenal increase in procurement prices last year, especially of wheat by over 50%, there has been a big injection of purchasing power into the rural areas this year. And what I found most striking is the phenomenal increase, even in this recessionary period, in the sale over the last 3 months in some items. For example, the sale of motorcycles in the last 3 months has gone up by 37%. The sale of electric fans has gone up by 29%. And the sale of tractors has gone up by almost 40%. This is a reflection of the newfound buoyancy in rural purchasing power. So from that orientation which companies had towards large cities, particularly telecommunications, banking, automobiles, you'll have to go for a different product mix and a different market orientation to really ensure continued growth in markets. I believe there's a real opportunity. Government is serious and will continue to focus on agricultural development and the emergence of a strong farm economy. The fifth area that I'd like you to focus on and base your behavior accordingly is one senses major changes ahead in the policy and regulatory framework, which will determine the environment for the corporate sector. The first is, there's much more aggressive regulation of markets that is likely to be forthcoming. We have seen judicial activism already on the part of the courts. Very importantly, once the ordinance for the Competition Commission is converted, we would like to think into a law, there is every likelihood of far more active regulation of markets in years to come, and a far greater recognition, I think, in Pakistan of the need to protect consumer rights. And this, I would say, is a positive development. We have seen judicial activism in India for many, many years, where environmental class action suits have become order of the day. And don't be too surprised if this begins to happen. So we have to be particularly careful about the environmental implications of industrial production. The second area I sense on which there will be big changes is in the area of tax policy and administration. Almost certainly, due to enormous pressure on us to raise one of the lowest tax to GDP ratios in the world, you will see a lot of action in the next 2 budgets. Next budget, almost certainly, we will see the imposition of a comprehensive value-added tax. Now, the intention here, let me assure you, in my capacity as somebody who's advising the government, the intention is not to raise the burden of the industrial sector, but to broad base the VAT so that it effectively covers the wide range of services which have remained outside the tax net and which have shown phenomenal growth in recent years. So I'd like to assure you that this broad basing effort will be focused on bringing new sectors into the tax net. In the process, of course, some differential treatment in favor of some subsectors of industry will also go, because that cannot be justified in a broad-based VAT system. I believe the government's target is to raise the tax to GDP ratio by 3% of the GDP over the next 5 years, and that, I believe, is a feasible target. Simultaneously, we will see stronger enforcement of tax laws. In the period when we were enjoying the inflow of large external resources from 2002 to 2007, the effort to raise domestic revenues tended to slacken. And what I found quite surprising was that for almost 5 years, there was no auditing of tax returns. This is unusual. Certainly a very tax-friendly environment, but obviously not conducive for getting a modicum of revenue. So, I'm afraid public perceptions, media perceptions will demand from you higher standards of corporate governance in years to come. Our corporate sector has matured, has played a major role in the development of Pakistan over the last few decades. Let me say in conclusion, ladies and gentlemen, I'm confident that our corporate sector will rise to the occasion and will play an important role in helping Pakistan emerge from this crisis. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Hafiz, for your incisive talk, as usual studied with data and statistics. I would now like to invite Mr. A. Hussain A. Basrai, the Vice President of the Management Association, to close this session.
Ladies and gentlemen, assalamu alaikum. I've got this job of sort of summing up a few things. And as usual, Dr. Hafiz Pasha made an excellent presentation, a very thought-provoking thing. And his address, in fact, as highlighted, he very ably highlighted the various factors where we are at the moment and what are the various issues which are to be faced by our economy in the next 3 to 4 years. I think he raised a very important issue whether the economy is now progressing, but the idea was that there are mixed signals in terms of the economic recovery. I don't want to go into the detail because, he has highlighted very well the various factors, starting with the key issue of the state of war and the cost which he highlighted is nearing 5% of GDP. He also linked the various factors as far as the global crises are concerned, and as you all are aware that there are mixed signals over there as well, that globally